May. Oh, it's not May, it's March. March the 27th. Matthew chapter 22, verses 23 to 46. Chapter 22, verses 23 to 46. Discussions about resurrection. That same day, some Saudis stepped forward. A group of Jews who say there's no resurrection after death. They posed this question: Teacher, Moses said if a man dies without children, his brother should marry the widow and have a child who will be the brother's heir. Well, there were 7 brothers. The oldest married and then died without children. The second brother married the widow. The brother also died without children. And the wife also was married to the next brother, and so on, until she had been the wife of each of them. And then she also died. So tell us, whose wife will she be in the resurrection? For she was the wife of all 7 of them. Jesus replied, your problem is that you don't know the scriptures, and you don't know the power of God. For when the dead rise, they won't be married. They will be like angels in heaven. But now, as to whether there will be a resurrection of the dead, haven't you ever read about this in the scriptures? Long after Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had died, God said, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So, he is the God of the living, not the dead. When the crowds heard him, they were impressed with his teaching, the most important commandment. But when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Saudis with his reply, they thought up a first question of their own to ask him. One of them, an expert in religious law, tried to trap him with this question: Teacher, which is the most important commandment in the law of Moses? Jesus replied, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart and your soul and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. A second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the other commandments and all of the other demands of the prophets are based on these 2 commandments. Who is the Son? Whose son is the Messiah? Then, surrounded by the Pharisees, Jesus asked them a question. Who do you think? What do you think about the Messiah? Whose son is he? They replied, he is the son of David. Jesus responded, then why does David, speaking under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, call him Lord? For David said, the Lord said to my Lord, sit in honor at my right hand, until I humble your enemies beneath your feet. Since David called him Lord, how can he be his son at the same time? No one could answer him. After that, no one dared ask him any more questions. That's Matthew chapter 22, verses 23 to 46. Numbers chapter 21, verse 1 through 40. Numbers chapter 22, verse 1 through 40. Balak sends for Balaam. Then the people of Israel traveled to the plains of Moab and camped east of the Jordan River, across from Jericho. Balak, son of Zippor, the Moabite king, knew what the Israelites had done to the Amorites, and when they saw how many Israelites there were, he and his people were terrified. The king of Moab said to the leader of Midian, "This mob will devour everything in sight, like an ox devours grass." So Balak, king of Moab, sent messengers to Balaam, son of Beor, who was living in the native land of Pethor, near the Euphrates River. He sent this message to request that Balaam come to help him. "A vast horde of people has arrived from Egypt. They cover the face of the earth and are threatening me. Please come and curse them for me because they are so numerous. Then perhaps I will be able to conquer them and drive them from the land. I know that blessings fall on the people you bless. I also know that the people you curse are doomed." Balak's messengers, officials of both Moab and Midian, set out and took money with them to pay Balaam to curse Israel. They went to Balaam and urgently explained to him what Balak had wanted. "Stay there overnight," Balaam said. "In the morning I will tell you whatever the Lord directs me to say." So the officials from Moab stayed there with Balaam. That night God came to Balaam and asked him, "Who are these men with you?" So Balaam said to God, "Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent me this message. A vast horde of people has come from Egypt and has spread out all over the whole land. Come at once and curse them. Perhaps then I will be able to conquer them and drive them away from the land." "Don't go with them," God told Balaam. "You are not to curse these people, for I have blessed them." The next morning Balaam got up and told Balak's officials, "Go on home. The Lord will not let me go with you." So the Moab officials returned to King Balak and reported, "Balaam refused to come with us." Then Balak tried again. This time he sent a larger number and even more distinguished officials than those he had sent the first time. Then went to Balaam and gave him this message. "This is what Balak, the son of Zippor, says. Please don't let anything stop you from coming. I will pay you well and do anything you ask of me. Just come and curse these people for me." But Balaam answered them, "Even if Balak were to give me a palace filled with silver and gold, I will be powerless to do anything against the will of the Lord my God. But stay here one more night to see if the Lord has anything else to say to me." That night God came to Balaam and told him, "Since these men have come for you, get up and go with them. But be sure to do only what I tell you to do." Balaam and his donkey. So the next morning, Balaam saddled his donkey and started off with the Moab officials. But God was furious that Balaam was going, so he sent the angel of the Lord to stand in the road to block his way. As Balaam and two servants were riding along, Balaam's donkey suddenly saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand. The donkey bolted off the road into the field, but Balaam beat it and it turned back onto the road. Then the angel of the Lord stood at a place where the road narrowed between two vineyard walls. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing there, he tried to squeeze by and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall. So Balaam beat the donkey again. Then the angel of the Lord moved further down the road and stood in a narrow place that the donkey could not get by at all. This time when the donkey saw the angel, it laid down under Balaam. In a fit of rage, Balaam beat it again with his staff. Then the Lord caused the donkey to speak. "What have I done to you that deserves you beating me with these 3 times? It asked. "Because you have made me look like a fool," Balaam shouted. "If I had a sword with me, I would kill you. But I am the same donkey you always ride on." The donkey answered, "Have I ever done anything like this before?" "No," he admitted. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes and saw that the angel of the Lord was standing in the roadway with a drawn sword in his hand. Balaam fell face down on the ground before him. Why did you beat your donkey with those 3 times? The angel of the Lord demanded. I have come to block your way because you are stubbornly resisting me. 3 times the donkey saw me and shielded away. Otherwise, I would have certainly killed you by 9 and spared the donkey. Then Balaam confessed to the angel of the Lord, I have sinned. I did not realize you were standing in the road to block my way. I will go back home if you are against my going. But the angel of the Lord told him, go with these men, but you may say only what I tell you to say. So the Balaam went with the Balak's officials. When King Balak heard that Balaam was on his way, he went out to meet him at a Moab town on the Arnon River at the border of his land. Did I not send you an urgent invitation? Why didn't you come right away? Balak asked Balaam. Excuse me. Didn't you believe me when I was saying I would reward you richly? Balaam replied, I have come, but I have no power to say anything. I will speak only the message that God gives me. Then Balaam accompanied Balak to Kithrat Huzoth, where the king sacrificed cattle and sheep. He sent portions of the meat to Balaam and to the officials who were with him. The next morning, Balak took Balaam up to the Bath-Mothbah. From there, he could see the people of Israel spread out below him. That's Numbers chapter 41, chapter 22, verses 1 through 40. Now we go to Psalms chapter 2, verse 8 through chapter 3:5. Oh, I hear him, my lover. Here he comes, leaping on the mountains and bounding over the hills. My lover is like a swift gazelle or a young deer. Look, there he is behind the wall. Now he is looking through the window, glazing into my room. My lover said to me, rise up, my beloved, my fair one, and come away. For this winter is past and the rain is over and gone. The flowers are springing up and the time of singing birds has come. Even the cooing of turtle doves. The fig trees are budding and the grape vineyards are in blossom. How delicious they smell. Yes, spring is here. Arise, my beloved, my fair one, and come away. Young man, my dove is hiding behind some rocks, behind an outcrop on the cliff. Let me see you. Let me hear your voice. For your voice is pleasant and you are lovely. Young women of Jerusalem, quick, catch all the little foxes before they ruin the vineyards of your love, for the grapevines are in blossom. Young woman, my lover is mine and I am his. He feeds among the lilies before the dawn comes and the shadows flee away. Come back to me, my love. Run like a gazelle or a young stag on the rugged mountains. Young woman, one night as I lay in bed, I yearned deeply for my lover, but he did not come. So I said to myself, I will get up now and roam the city searching for him in all the streets and squares. But my search was in vain. The watchmen stopped me as they made their rounds and I said to them, have you seen him anywhere? This one I love so much. A little while later, I found him and held him. I didn't let him go until I had brought him to my childhood home, into my mother's bedroom where I had been conceived. Promise me, O women of Jerusalem, by the swift gazelles and the deer of the wild, not to awaken love until its time is right. Young women of Jerusalem, so that was Psalms chapter 2, verse 8 through chapter 3:5. Amen. Stay blessed. Till tomorrow.